Hello Slaters! Welcome back to another interesting session of Animal Fiber. In our preceding video, we learnt about silk fiber and woolen fiber. Let us recall the summary of the lesson. Children, once we recapitulate, you will be asked a few questions and you should answer them in your science classwork and your teacher will check them. Are you ready? Clothing is one of the essential needs of our life. Clothes protect us from heat, cold, and make us appear decent. Children, what is a fabric? The material that is used to make our clothes is called fabric. The fabric is made by using fiber. A fiber is a thin, hair-like strand obtained from plant and animal sources. Fabric is obtained from plants like cotton, jute, etc. Animals like camel, goat, sheep, and egg give us wool. Silk is produced by silkworm. China led to Silk Route in the world. Students, let us see how to obtain silk. In order to obtain silk, we need to rear silkworms. What do you call this science of rearing silkworms? Yes, sericulture is the science of rearing of silkworms for obtaining silk. Silkworms have a scientific name called Bombyx mori. Children, let's recall the life history of silk moth. Adult silk moth lays eggs on mulberry leaves. These eggs hatch into larvae which feed on leaves. The larvae develops cocoons and turns to pupa stage. Within the cocoon, the larvae develop into adult silk moth. Then, the adult silk moth cuts the cocoon and flies away. The female silk moth lays around 500 eggs in one go and dies. These eggs are hatched into larvae called as caterpillars or silkworms. The caterpillars feed on mulberry leaves and develop into pupa. How does a caterpillar develop into pupa? The silkworm first weaves a net to hold itself by secreting a fiber made of a protein which hardens on exposure to air and becomes silk fiber. Soon, the caterpillar completely covers itself by silk fibers and turns into pupa, and this covering is known as cocoon. Further development of pupa into silk moth continues inside the cocoon. After 2 to 3 weeks, young moths come out of the cocoons and fly away. There is a girl called Neelima visited sericulture stalls and shared with us the valuable information. Shall we see, children? Stall 1. The eggs of silkworm are called seeds and the seed growing centers are called as grenages. There is a big seed growing center in Andhra Pradesh at Horsley Hills in Chittor district. Farmers from places like Kannur, Kadapa, Chittor of Andhra Pradesh purchase these worms to obtain silk by growing them. Silk moth is like a butterfly. These silk moths will be kept in grill mesh boxes in separate rooms and these are called as chilakalu. As the eggs are small in size, a piece of cloth or a paper is arranged so that a silk moth lays eggs. Slaters, can you say how these eggs are hatched? The eggs are allowed to hatch in special chambers, usually over mats on beds of chopped mulberry leaves to get small worms. Stall 2. Eggs hatch into larvae called caterpillars or silkworms. Students, do you know how larvae are fed? The larvae present on large trays feed on the chopped mulberry leaves day and night. They need good hygienic conditions and proper light to grow. 5 to 6 harvests of worms can be done in a year. What happens when they grow bigger in size? These bigger sized worms are transferred into big sized frames called chendrikalu. Caterpillars feed for 30 to 35 days, then settle at a particular place. What do these worms do by stopping feeding? The caterpillars start weaving a net around itself by moving its mouth from side to side and secrete a fiber like substance. The silk is a continuous filament comprising fibroin protein secreted from two salivary glands in the head of each worm and a gum called sericin which cements the filaments. When it is exposed to air and heat, it becomes strong and completely covers its body to form a closed sac called cocoon or pattukayalu. Children, how do we get silk from cocoon then? A crucial step is followed within 2 to 3 days of cocoon formation. The cocoons are removed from the tray and are killed by a process called stifling or sold within a week. What is stifling? The larvae inside the cocoon are killed by putting these into a steam oven for 10 to 15 minutes. This process is called stifling. Slaters, what happens if cocoons are not stifled within 2 to 3 days? The cocoons have to be stifled to kill the larvae inside, otherwise, it will cut its way out after growing into a moth and spoil the cocoon. If the cocoon is spoiled, we will not get a continuous thread of silk. Thus, we won't be able to obtain quality fiber for fabric. Children, can we store stifled cocoons? Yes, stifling helps in storing cocoons for a long time. Star 3. Step 1 is cocoon to fiber by a process called reeling. Step 2 is fiber to yarn. The stifled cocoons are boiled in water to get silk fiber. What is silk fiber made up of? Caterpillar of silkworm spins fiber which is mainly made up of two types of proteins, namely sericin and fibroin, which are strong. The cocoons are boiled to loosen the strong fibers to be able to reel up. What is reeling? The process of unwinding of silk filaments from the cocoon and combining them together to make a yarn of raw silk is called reeling. How is the reeling process carried out? Reeling is carried out with the help of special machines called reelers and twisters. Children, An is used for weaving fabric. What is an? The silk fiber is carefully collected from the cocoon and nearly 3 to 8 of such threads are bound together to make yarn. This yarn is cleaned, bleached, colored or dyed and used for weaving a variety of designed fabrics on looms. Style 4. Reeling to weaving. The silk yarn from various reeling centers is brought by weavers of various places. The famous handloom saris produced in our state are Venkatagiri, Uppada, Dharmavaram. Dharmavaram in Anantapur district is known as the Silk City of Andhra Pradesh. There are several types of silk and one among them is tussar silk. Tussar silk is also called as Desali Pattu, produced by a species of silk moth by laying eggs on Terminalia oak. This silk plantation is mainly concentrated in Anantapuram, East Godavari, Vishakhapatnam, and coastal regions of Andhra Pradesh. What are the diseases that people suffer if they work in silk industry? The people might suffer from skin as well as respiratory problems due to continuous handling of silkworms and silk fibers. So let us answer these questions you see on screen in your classwork. Your first question is, what will happen if cocoon is not boiled? Your second question is, what are grenages? And your third question is, what is stifling? Keep learning, children. Have a look at this video twice or thrice for better clarity. Catch you all in the next session.